Ever wonder who the biggest jerks in Hollywood history are? Well, today's the day we reveal the details on 20 more celebrities who've earned their reputation as Tinseltown's most notorious troublemakers. Number 20. Meg Ryan. Let's start today's journey through Hollywood's not-so-sweethearts with none other than Meg Ryan. Once upon a time, she was vying for the title of America's sweetheart, right alongside other big names like Julia Roberts. However, Meg Ryan's journey took a sharp detour when her not-so-sweet side was unveiled. Ryan's rise to stardom wasn't enough to shield her from the controversies that lurk in the shadows of fame. In the year 2000, the public was hit with shocking news. Meg Ryan was cheating on her then-husband Dennis Quaid with none other than Russell Crowe, who has also earned a spot on our list of Hollywood's less savory characters. It's as if Hollywood is a small town full of terrible secrets and even worse behavior. Unsurprisingly, Ryan's career took a significant hit after these stories came to light. She struggled to bounce back, and even when she did land a role, rumors of trouble on set seemed to follow her like a shadow. It's not just about past infidelities. Ryan has been accused of acting entitled, despite her best days being a distant memory. One thing's for sure, in Hollywood, there's little room for behavior like that, no matter how charming you once were. But hold on, folks, there's more. As we get deeper into our countdown, you'll discover that Ryan is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Hollywood's biggest jerks. So stay tuned for the rest of our lineup and see if your vote matches our rankings. Number 19. Sandra Bullock. We've enjoyed her on-screen roles, but she might not be the sweetheart we imagine off-camera. It's not unusual for celebrities to refuse autograph requests, but when things take an insulting turn, that's a different story. One incident in particular stands out. A disabled veteran asked her for an autograph. Instead of a polite refusal, Bullock covered her face and verbally abused him. Ouch, that's definitely not what we'd expect from America's sweetheart. But the drama doesn't end there. Bullock's personal life has also been riddled with controversies. Her former husband, Jesse James, openly admitted to cheating on her, and his reason was quite intriguing. He claimed he felt inferior because she controlled all his movements. Now, Jesse James is no angel himself, especially considering his infidelity, so we might take his statements with a grain of salt. However, what's interesting is that this accusation fits with other instances of Bullock's alleged jerky behavior. It doesn't seem entirely outlandish when you consider her public persona. Number 18. Ellen DeGeneres. A name we associate with comedy and kindness, but the reality seems to be quite different. Hollywood has its fair share of Ellen haters, and it's not just about unfunny jokes. It's quite ironic that a comedian known for her own humor would berate her writing staff for, quote, unfunny jokes. Kathy Griffin, another figure from the entertainment industry, has publicly spoken about Ellen's mean streak that's apparently well known throughout Hollywood. Things took a particularly ugly turn in 2020 when a slew of stories about Ellen's bad behavior started leaking to the public. Seems like her true colors were no longer hidden behind the laughter and dancing. In fact, a recent Twitter thread emerged with an interesting twist. For every story that proved Ellen to be one of the meanest people alive, a donation of $2 would be made to the LA Food Bank. The tales they received were quite shocking, ranging from trying to get a waitress fired over a chipped nail to forcing everyone to chew gum because of her, quote, sensitive nose. One of the most startling incidents involved getting an autistic custodian fired simply for greeting her. It's not often you hear about a fundraiser like the X campaign rising from bad behavior, but at least this time, Ellen DeGeneres helped monetize a good cause, even if she did so unintentionally. Number 17. David Bowie. Bowie was undoubtedly an amazing artist and visionary, but there's a side to his story that's worth noting. In many aspects, Bowie was considered a decent guy, but he's not entirely free from controversy. One issue that raised eyebrows was his involvement with 13-year-old groupies during his career. Lori Maddox, who was 15 at the time, openly admitted to a sexual relationship with Bowie despite their age difference. Maddox described the encounter as consensual, but it's hard to overlook the inappropriateness of such a situation, especially considering Bowie's marital status at the time. Number 16. Mel Gibson. The story of Mel Gibson is a tale of colossal celebrity controversy, showing how even superstardom couldn't shield him from a barrage of rightful criticism. In 2006, the trouble began when Gibson was arrested for a DUI, but that was just the tip of the iceberg. His subsequent actions plunged him into hot water when he made deeply troubling anti-Semitic remarks during the arrest. The incident shook the public's perception of him, and it was evident that Gibson's bad behavior was far from over. Another dark facet of his personality came to light when a 1995 interview revealed his incredibly sexist attitudes. Stephen Colbert even noted that Gibson was, quote, strikingly lacking in apologies. It's a stark reminder that fame doesn't necessarily equate wisdom or humility. The downward spiral continued in 2010 when he sent threatening phone calls to his ex-wife, musician Oksana Grigorieva. The situation escalated to a criminal level, leading to a domestic violence restraining order against Gibson. He was ordered not to contact his ex-wife or their daughter. Number 15. Bruce Willis. Behind that tough exterior lies a reputation that's left many wondering why so many stars won't work with him anymore. For a long time, the reasons behind this mystery remained undisclosed. However, the shroud of secrecy began to unravel when a few individuals finally spoke out. One of them was Kevin Smith, who had the courage to share his experience working with Willis, and it was nothing short of a nightmare. Smith described the ordeal as, quote, soul-crushing, a term you don't want to hear from a colleague. It's safe to say that when your coworkers find the experience to be soul-crushing, it's far from a ringing endorsement. Smith further revealed, quote, it was difficult. I've never been involved in a situation like that, where one component is not in the box at all. Adding to the list of grievances, the actor even refused to sit for promotional photos for a film's poster, a move that's practically unheard of in the industry. After all, having your face plastered all over the world is often considered one of the perks of being famous. As we continue our journey through Hollywood's enigmatic world, we'll uncover more stories of stars whose behavior behind the scenes is far from what you'd expect. Number 14. Charlie Sheen. Before his spectacular downfall in 2012, Sheen was the highest-paid actor on television, enjoying immense popularity on the hit show 2.5 Men. But as they say, it's often the highest who fall the hardest. Sheen's erratic behavior and personality issues became increasingly evident during this time. His ego and misogynistic tendencies were widely documented in various interviews. He infamously coined the phrase tiger blood and even used derogatory language towards celebrities like Rihanna on Watch What Happens Live in 2017. But his controversial behavior didn't stop there. Sheen was known for his destructive tendencies, struggling with drug addiction and a penchant for bad-mouthing other celebrities. His treatment of romantic partners, particularly his former wife, Denise Richards, was a subject of immense concern. Their marriage ended in divorce due to allegations of drug abuse and mistreatment. Richards also accused Sheen of viewing gay porn, adding a bizarre twist to their troubled relationship. And the challenges of dealing with Charlie Sheen's behavior didn't stop at the personal level. His third wife even filed a restraining order, expressing deep concerns about his mental state. She described her fears, stating that she was, quote, very concerned that Sheen is currently insane. Number 13. Steven Seagal. Our journey through Hollywood's Hall of Fame and shame brings us to the action film star Steven Seagal. Despite his success in front of the camera, Seagal's reputation behind the scenes is far from stellar. Seagal is notorious for being incredibly difficult to work with, which is surprising given that cooperation is a fundamental skill for any actor. In fact, he earned the unenviable title of being one of the worst hosts in the history of Saturday Night Live, as proclaimed by the show's creator and producer. It seems his abrasive personality extends beyond the movie set. One of the most troubling aspects of Seagal's behavior is his treatment of stuntmen. Instead of fostering a collaborative environment, he's known for physically abusing his colleagues, often kicking them between the legs. Such actions are not only unprofessional, but also immature and dangerous. And Seagal's misconduct doesn't stop at his colleagues. He's also been accused of abusing those he employs. One former model, hired as his executive assistant, had to endure inappropriate demands, including giving Seagal massages and allowing him to touch her wherever he pleased. These actions created a deeply unsettling and uncomfortable work environment. Moreover, multiple women have come forward with accusations of sexual harassment against Seagal, including well-known personalities like Jenny McCarthy, Portia de Rossi, and Juliana Margulies. These allegations have significantly tarnished his reputation, making it unlikely that this action star will ever fully recover from the sea of bad press surrounding him. Number 12. Chevy Chase. Unfortunately, Chevy has the reputation of being a complete jerk. Even his fellow comedians from SNL didn't hold back their disdain for him when he hosted the show. Chevy's rude and dismissive behavior made the experience less than enjoyable for everyone involved, leaving a lasting impression of unpleasantness. Regrettably, Chevy's bad behavior and poor reputation didn't fade away when he left SNL. It seems to have followed him through his entire career, which now appears to be on the decline. One incident that highlights his unpleasant nature is when he made lewd remarks toward a female writer. Such actions are not only disrespectful, but also deeply inappropriate, demonstrating a lack of regard for those responsible for his scripts. Politeness seems to be a foreign concept for Chevy, as he reportedly shows little courtesy to fans or co-workers alike. His antics went so far that he was eventually let go from NBC's hit show Community due to similar on-set issues. It's becoming increasingly apparent that Chevy may never change his ways. Number 11. Tommy Lee Jones. Tommy Lee Jones isn't just an actor who plays grumpy characters. He's the real deal. He's known for his less-than-friendly demeanor, and finding him signing autographs or engaging with journalists is a rare occurrence. While some might appreciate his no-nonsense approach, it's safe to say that most journalists would prefer to avoid a second interview with him. In fact, Jones is infamous for abruptly cutting off interviews and walking out, even making a reporter cry during an interview with GQ magazine. And if that's not enough to showcase his no-nonsense attitude, picture this. He once cracked whole walnuts with his bare hands during an interview. But perhaps one of the most memorable moments of candor was directed at Jim Carrey on the set of Batman Forever. Jones did not hold back, telling Carrey, quote, "I hate you. I really don't like you. I cannot sanction your buffoonery." While Jones may have been overly harsh on Carrey, you've got to give him credit for delivering one of the most hilariously memorable insults in Hollywood history. "I cannot sanction your buffoonery" is probably one of the most hilarious ways you could tell someone to F off. Number 10. William Shatner. William Shatner, famously known as Captain James T. Kirk from Star Trek, isn't exactly a beloved figure among his co-stars and fans. In fact, his Comedy Central roast provided a rare opportunity for stars to unleash their pent-up rage they've had for years toward this alleged Hollywood grouch. While on the set of Star Trek, Shatner's behavior earned him the dubious nickname Captain Jerk. Most of his co-stars couldn't stand him due to his unpleasant demeanor, and the final straw for many was his failure to show up at Leonard Nimoy's funeral. Captain Jerk might not have been the most creative nickname, but it certainly gets the point across. Even at conventions where fans gather to celebrate Star Trek and its legacy, Shatner's attitude is far from welcoming. He's been known to shout at co-stars like Denise Crosby, who portrayed Tasha Yar on the show, whenever they attempt to answer a question, making it clear that respect for his colleagues is not high on his priority list. As for his fans, Shatner's bad behavior has started to drive them away. It seems that while he once boldly went where no man had gone before, his attitude may be causing fans to think twice about joining him on that journey. Stay tuned as we continue our countdown of Hollywood's biggest jerks. Number 9. Lou Reed. Lou Reed, renowned for his musical genius as part of the Velvet Underground and as a solo artist, left an indelible mark on the music industry with iconic songs like Walk on the Wild Side and Perfect Day. However, behind the scenes, Reed's behavior was far from harmonious. As Reed's fame grew, so did his struggles with drug and alcohol abuse, leading to his increasingly erratic behavior. His substance abuse issues began to take a toll on his relationships, causing many of his friends and peers to distance themselves from him. Reed's confrontations with fellow musicians and celebrities were infamous. He once slapped David Bowie, a close friend, for expressing concern about his drug use. This incident strained their relationship, and Reed's erratic behavior further alienated him from his peers. He also found himself in hot water with Bob Dylan, having engaged in a series of anti-Semitic slurs against the legendary musician. Number 8. Robin Williams. Robin Williams' untimely death in 2014 sent shockwaves around the world. His suicide seemed incomprehensible given his wealth, beautiful family, and status as one of the greatest comedians in history. However, the image of Williams as a comedy genius might not be entirely accurate. While he was undoubtedly one of the most naturally funny people of his time, his written material didn't quite match the genius he was acclaimed for after his passing. Williams often relied on impressions and improvisation because his original material was lackluster. In his early career, he borrowed heavily from the jokes of his contemporaries, offering no compensation in return. During that era, it wasn't uncommon for comedians to buy jokes from one another. However, Williams stood out for not compensating those from whom he borrowed material. His meteoric rise to success made it difficult for other comedians to confront him about his joke theft. It wasn't until David Brenner confronted the Mork and Mindy star and threatened him with physical violence that Williams began to change his ways. Number 7. Toby Maguire. You may know Toby Maguire as the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, but it turns out he's not so friendly in real life. Maguire's behavior has raised eyebrows in Hollywood, and some of his actions are far from heroic. One infamous incident involved a cocktail waitress. During a night out, Maguire engaged in conversation with her, but decided that she earned too much money. Instead of leaving a tip, he asked her to, quote, bark like a seal who wants a fish for a $1,000 tip. Maguire's reputation behind the scenes isn't much better. He's been described as, quote, the worst little monster you ever met by a casting director. On set, it said that people are instructed not to make eye contact with him, a classic diva behavior among actors. But what sets Maguire apart is his unusual request to be called Tugboat Maguire or Tugboat Toby. It's a quirk many would rather forget. In 2014, Molly Bloom, an A-list poker hostess, exposed Maguire's behavior during a poker game. She dubbed him the worst loser and worst tipper and shared a shocking story. Maguire once demanded that she bark like a seal for a $1,000 tip, even holding the money over her head to emphasize his point. When she refused and laughed it off, he held a piece over the hostess's head and said, I'm not kidding. What's wrong? You're too rich now? You won't bark for $1,000? Bark! Many were shocked by the lack of basic manners and decency. Number 6. John Lennon. During the height of his fame as a member of the Beatles, Lennon seemed to neglect his roles as husband and father. His son Julian was pushed into the background while he toured the world, indulged in drugs, and had affairs with numerous women, none of whom were his wife. Later in life, after the Beatles disbanded, Lennon had a son with Yoko Ono and seemed to make a better attempt at being a good father. However, it's important to remember that stress and fame cannot excuse poor behavior and bad parenting. The truth about Lennon's behavior became more evident, particularly after his son Julian began speaking to the press. Julian criticized his father for being a hypocrite who could talk about peace and love to the world, but couldn't show it to those closest to him. Lennon's marriage to Julian's mother, Cynthia, ended in divorce, leaving behind a family in tatters. In a 1980 interview, just days before his tragic death, Lennon shockingly admitted to hitting women and even harboring inappropriate feelings for his own mother. He stated, quote, "That is why I am always on about peace, you see. It is the most violent people who go for love and peace." Number 5. Christian Bale. Christian Bale, known for his intense commitment to roles, has also gained infamy for his extremely difficult behavior on set. One incident in particular became more famous than the movie it was associated with, Terminator Salvation. Before the film's release, an audio recording of Bale's tirade towards the director of photography, Sheen, made headlines. In the recording, Bale can be heard verbally assaulting Hurlbut, who was trying to apologize for a ruined take. Bale's outburst was not just a one-time occurrence, but rather a part of a pattern of behavior. Bale's reputation is that of a demanding and aggressive personality who often forces those around him to cater to his desires. This behavior has led to accusations of bullying, making it difficult for him to work harmoniously with others. Interestingly, his behavior behind the scenes may have also played a role in the absence of an official Robin character in Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy. Number 4. Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise, while beloved by many, remains a perplexing figure in Hollywood due to his eccentric behavior. Cruise's personal life and rules often make headlines. During his marriage to Katie Holmes, he imposed strict guidelines, such as prohibiting her from seeing other men immediately after their separation, restricting her travel with their daughter, and preventing her from talking to Nicole Kidman, Cruise's former wife. Beyond his personal life, Cruz is known for his passionate promotion of Scientology, which some find difficult to tolerate. His enthusiasm for a religion based on space aliens can be off-putting to many. But it's not just Cruz's religious beliefs that raise eyebrows. He once reportedly ordered Navy sailors not to speak to him or even make eye contact while he was on the set of Top Gun 2, a decision that left some questioning his respect for the military. Number 3. Walt Disney. Walt Disney, the genius behind iconic characters like Mickey Mouse, is often celebrated for his contributions to children's entertainment. However, beneath the charming facade, there's a darker side to Disney's legacy. He was far from the model citizen he's often portrayed as. Disney held sexist views, even in an era known for its lack of progressiveness. He once made disparaging remarks about women's creative contributions in animation, stating, quote, "Women do not do any of the creative work in connection with preparing the cartoons for the screen, as that task is performed entirely by young men." Furthermore, Disney's anti-Semitic beliefs are well documented. He was vehemently opposed to what he perceived as Jewish influence in the motion picture industry. In a disturbing move, in 1938, on the brink of World War II, Disney hosted Nazi propagandist Leni Riefenstahl in his Hollywood studio. Number 2. Lucille Ball. Lucille Ball, the iconic actress best known for her beloved comedic roles, often portrayed charming and relatable characters on screen. However, behind the scenes, her true personality revealed a very different side. Ball had a reputation for rudeness and a penchant for belittling those who weren't fellow celebrities. An infamous incident occurred during a flight when she completely ignored a flight attendant, opting to have her assistant relay, quote, "I'm sorry, Ms. Ball doesn't speak to the help." This haughty attitude demonstrated a glaring lack of humility. Even her co-stars were not immune to her demanding behavior. Richard Burton wrote scathingly about Ball, labeling her a, quote, "monster of staggering charmlessness and monumental lack of humor." He criticized her work ethic and what he saw as her desperate quest for attention and laughs on her long-running show. Ball undoubtedly made groundbreaking contributions to television, revolutionizing the modern sitcom and setting new standards for what could be aired. Her series, I Love Lucy and The Lucy Show, earned her enduring admiration. However, her challenging personality, as reported by colleagues like Tony Randall, paints a different picture. Randall described her as someone who, quote, "bossed everybody around and didn't spare anybody's feelings." It's worth noting that Ball's reputation as a difficult personality may be partially attributed to the era in which she worked, where strong women faced resistance in a male-dominated environment. Nevertheless, these accounts reveal the complex nature of a Hollywood legend, shedding light on the less charming aspects of Lucy's life and career. Number 1. Elvis Presley. Sorry, but the King of Rock was also the king of teenage girls. Although everyone knows he famously met wife Priscilla Presley when she was only 14, that wasn't the only time he fraternized with teens. Quote, "He was fascinated with the idea of real young teenage girls," said Lamar Fike, a former member of his entourage. "It scared the hell out of all of us." He was particularly obsessed with virginal 14-year-olds, which he called cherries. According to Baby, Let's Play House, Elvis felt insecure about pleasing older women and would invite groups of young fans to his house for sleepovers instead. Once he met Priscilla, these fantasies didn't change. Determined to keep her virginal until their wedding day, he would instead have role-playing sessions where she would dress up like a schoolgirl and he would dress up like a teacher. Once the two married and had their first child, however, the sexcapades stopped. Priscilla wrote in her memoir that Elvis, quote, "had mentioned to me before we were married that he had never been able to make love to a woman who had a child." When Elvis finally upgraded to adult women, dating 21-year-old beauty queen Ginger Alden after his divorce from Priscilla, he continued to treat them like crap. Ginger wrote in her memoir that Elvis once fired a pistol into her bedroom when she refused to bring him yogurt. What a swell guy. Well, that wraps up our countdown of more of Hollywood's biggest jerks. Who do you think deserves a spot on this list? And who surprised you the most? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for tuning in.